Welcome back. As we said earlier, it's getting nutty here in the Chef Anthony Test Kitchen, and apparently someone has a nutty joke for me too that has nothing to do with nuts.
Nothing to do with nuts, but, well, a joke and a story.
Okay.
So, what is the best time on a clock?
What is the best time on the clock? Dinner time?
6:30, hands down.
Okay. Hands down, that would be the best time.
Well, then I got a call from my son. I love my son. I have two wonderful boys, and my beautiful, wonderful daughter lives up in Kansas City, and my son calls me and says, "Dad, would you buy me this book, Mark?" And I said, "I'd be happy to buy you a book, but why did you call me Mark?"
Wow. That's a good one.
So,
Okay, so I understand why you have to come up with jokes like this. You deal with students all the time.
Yes, I do.
Wonderful students. And the program that you're teaching at Pittsburgh High School continues to expand as well, which is really awesome. Kind of tell me where this year has gone, because this is the first year that you guys have had like a full day of culinary arts classes.
Well, bacon and pastry just finished up, and we covered so much stuff from cookies and breads, cakes, cupcakes. They did gummy bears. They've done so much inside of there, and it being the first year was a very interesting change to what I've been used to. I have some great ideas for bacon and pastry too, but I have to get some specific equipment in order to meet the state's requirements for that class. But as soon as I can get those pieces of equipment, I'm going to be super excited. I want to teach them how to do pastry phyllo dough and puff pastries, but I have to have a sheeter in order to do that, because there's no way that most of these students will be able to grasp or even have the time to do it manually. But I think if they wanted to, they could put it to use at home. And puff pastry is a very lost art, so I'm excited for that. I have a huge amount of Pro Start 1 students this year, and we're getting ready for competition.
Awesome.
So in the fall we have competition. In February, Parsons is hosting a baking competition, their first one, so we're putting together a team with that. I think I have right now 26 kids signed up for it.
That's impressive.
That's really good.
How many kids per team?
It's individual.
Oh, it's individual.
It's individual, so we'll have several people entering stuff into it, and I have
When they do baking competitions, do they bake their item and bring it in advance, or do they bake it there, or how does that typically work?
Most places will have you bake it before and bring it with you, like you do to the fair.
Okay.
But you do need to bring a recipe. Some competitions you have to produce there. Like if the state Pro Start was to hold a baking competition, you would bring your recipe, your necessary ingredients, and you would prepare it on site, because they want to watch how you prepare it. Here we rely on the teachers to oversee you preparing it, or somebody supervising you preparing it, to make sure that you meet food safety standards.
Okay.
So there's a lot of big numbers.
And these kind
coming.
of competitions, is there like a speaking Q&A portion of them as well usually?
Most of the time it's individualized with a judge. A judge will come to your table, pick up a slice, ask you a few questions. How did you make this? Have you ever made this before? What's the significance of what you made? And a lot of people, for a lot of kids, I make this with my grandmother. My grandmother taught me how to make this. And if you remember back to Nana's apple pie, that was her recipe that that carries a lot of weight. So those are the things that we want to foster. Those are the things that we want to encourage. But we've had some very interesting shenanigans through class. Right after Thanksgiving, they got a random mystery basket of ingredients. They got a soup, they got a pasta, they got a vegetable, and they got ramen and M&Ms, and had to create something, use parts of all of it to create a final dish. And some of the stuff, I tell you, that came out of there was really good. We had a pizza.
With M&Ms?
And with M&Ms on it, we had fried raviolis. So it's always good to see what they can do, but I believe if you ask an open-ended question and don't lead them to it, that they'll get where they need to go.
Real quickly, before we run out of time, we have a few sponsors that help us with this segment. I want to give a shout out to them and thank them for all they've done, and hopefully we'll continue to do. Oh
yes. Well, Martinez Produce, I want to thank you for all the wonderful boxes that you guys give us for every week for the show. I couldn't do it without it, because produce is without a doubt one of the most important things to sustain us. in our diets right now. Simon Market, you do so much for us with the proteins and the eggs. Your farm fresh eggs that you have are probably the best I've had anywhere.
And how else would we have got lamb here in the morning?
Exactly. Yes. And then to offset everything else that comes around, Bourbon County Cars has been very gracious in helping to offset that stuff. So I want to thank them. And they're located in Fort Scott. Simon Market's located here in Pittsburgh. Martinez Produce is located here in Pittsburgh. So reach out to your local stores and businesses. Remember, they're the ones who are here in your area. So save some money, help your fellow neighbors out.
All right. Well, I want to wish you an early Merry Christmas.
You as well. And I will see you after the new year.
I know. We're excited to see what the new year brings. And we will be right back.